Welcome to the Blue Oasis Podcast. I am your host, Adam Rothstein. All right, let's get to the show. Good morning, everyone. I am definitely glad to be back. All right, before we begin this episode on model trains, I want to just give a shout out to Joe R. He donated $5 to the podcast, and it really helped me out. And I used that money to help me go buy a domain, and the domain is the blueoasispodcast.com. That will be up very soon, within the coming weeks, hopefully this week. And if you're listening to this episode on a later date, just go back, and the link should be in the show notes when it's up. All right. Okay. So when it comes to common hobbies, model trains is no exception. And a lot of people definitely start that at an early age, like 8-10 years old, because naturally kids love trains. And I was one of those kids, by the way. So, from O gauge to HO, you can have a ready-to-run train set, especially around $100. So, yeah, that's going to be your price point. Now, while this can get expensive, especially when you buy multiple sets and accessories, it's still a constructive hobby that can give kids life skills as well as even adults, because you're planning. It teaches you planning skills and helps you even give strategic elements in your day. It gives you that strategic skills, those strategy skills rather. So a little bit about me. When I was growing up, I had 2 O gauge train sets. So one was a diesel set and one was a steam set. They were both passenger sets. So when I first assembled my layout, I was impressed with how easily the tracks assembled and how easily they disassembled. To disassemble the tracks from the attached tracks, all you had to do was just lift up one piece of track, and then to assemble the tracks, just press them close together and they would attach. And you would do this for any piece of track you wanted to attach. Now, I had 2 MTH sets. I did not have a Lionel set growing up. Now, for a kid who was into Legos, this was the perfect hobby for me to start. Now, before the internet really took off and high-speed internet became common in most households, you couldn't upload videos to the internet regularly. But what you did have at the time was track software. Now, as a kid, I actually had a little CD, and it helped me design some things of what I would want. I would integrate some switch tracks and everything, and some cross tracks, or like those 90-degree crossing tracks, and also some houses and restaurants as just models and make it look like a little town. So it was still pretty cool back then. So what you did on this little CD, you would select your items from the product bars, and then you would assemble the layout, and from there you would actually print out your design and get your list of products, and then you would actually have to drive to the store to go get your products. And the downside of having this software from 2004, 2003 is that it didn't list the prices, and whatever the price was at the store, you had to accept, or you had to forego some products, or you could just not purchase it at all. That was a little bit of the downside. So you didn't know ahead of time of what you were getting. Today, you can go on to anyrail.com and download free track software to help you with your model railroad designs. Now, I actually tried this software out, and it was very similar to the one that I had growing up. Only difference was it wasn't on a CD. Now, if I do pull this up here just real quickly, the software is available for Windows. You actually do have an option for list of materials and then as well. So I may show a little bit of this on my YouTube channel, and a link for my YouTube channel will be down in the show notes, or if you're watching on YouTube, I'll link that to another video as well. So, moving on now. So, a little bit about the product. Now, imagine your art application and being able to piece together what you want. So, this is a little like Microsoft Word, or at least the toolbar makes it appear that way. And you don't just have a text editor, so it's not text-based, it's art mixed with, it's like an art application mixed with a Microsoft application. So, on the AnyRail software, you can insert your signals, tracks, everything that you would possibly need, and to get started. So now I want to move on to creating an income from your hobby, from model trains. So the brick and mortar side of things seems like the most traditional way to actually make an income from this. Now, buying or renting your first store is a big deal. Brick and mortars are the most expensive way to start a business, and especially this one. So just putting this out there, I've never started a brick and mortar, but I was close with someone who owned a brick and mortar train shop growing up. So this man who owned the store had set up the store next to a sandwich shop, and it was also next to a train station, or the train station was just a few miles down the road, but trains would come by, and it was the perfect site for putting a train shop as well. So when you do have your own shop ready to go, try and get property in one or both of these areas. That way you can attract any newcomers who just walk by. So if someone comes to the sandwich shop and is a model railroad fan but just doesn't know about you, they will as well, and then they could just get your information. And you can also put out an email list as well, and you could get their information and just send them stuff, and you can upserve them as well. That's a term that Daniel H. Pinks uses. Now, just a little side note, salespeople tend to upsell you on stuff, but that's not how we want to operate. We don't want to come across as sleazy. We want to be serving these people. So the term upserve just means that we want to just give them a little something that's going to benefit them down the road. So you could still offer them discounts as well, and then they may also be incentivized to buy it that way. And just show off your products and be willing to accept that most people aren't going to buy. So that is Daniel H. Pink's method. Daniel H. Pink's philosophy, rather. So now, if you don't want to start a brick and mortar, the best thing you can do to create an income from your love of model trains is to film it. Starting a YouTube channel is the best way you can create a source of income. It's also the easiest. Just get out your iPhone camera or just go buy a Sony 4K camera if you really want to make this look professional, and you're going to get somewhere with this. There were 2 or 3 people that I searched on YouTube for model train channels, and they have 100,000 subscribers. Easy. And I'm still trying to figure out if it's possible for these guys to get 1 million. So you can definitely monetize this and then just build out a website as well, and then just talk about yourself as well. You don't even have to sell them anything from your website. Just talk about you, and if you get really good at this, you could create a source of income from building a class on collectibles. Speaking of collectibles, you're not necessarily going to be able to know if something's a collectible from a standard train set. Now, I do want to tell you a little story about myself. So last year, I paid off my student loans, and I was able to do that because I sold my model trains as well as a few other things to help me just get out of that debt. Now, what I didn't know at the time was that, the model trains were not as worth as much as I had initially thought they were. So Dave Ramsey often says that anything with motors and wheels are just toys that go down in value, whether that's a car or a boat or anything. And the same thing applies to model trains. Definitely. So don't think that just because you're in a different industry or it's just a simple toy that it doesn't go down in value. Unless you are getting a tin plate or a very limited edition set, this is probably going to go down in value. So just keep that in note if you want to resell your items. Now, another way to make some money with this is affiliates. Now, I've not seen anything from Lionel or MTH where you can become an affiliate from them. But if you do want to make some money with an affiliate link, go to Amazon and decide which products you want to be an affiliate to. Certainly things like glue you're going to want to set up with, maybe some wood or like mini pieces of wood. Also some, let's see here, maybe some tape as well. And if it's possible to get an affiliate link for a set or like an HO set, definitely go do that. And you're going to be the one that people trust if you're building out a website of which models to buy. Now, when it comes to reselling your old items and you do have a rare antique or you have a model set that's worth a lot, definitely go to eBay, because you're going to be able to let people bid on that, and you're going to have you're going to be able to post your pictures there. And Amazon is also another choice, but I would still stick with eBay because that's just usually the default site that people go to for buying used items and even sometimes antiques. So this hobby is definitely one where you definitely can explore your creativity and you don't have to stick to a certain linear path. And when it comes to hobbies in general, the more creative you can get, the better off you're going to be. And it's not necessarily a bad